Good afternoon, good morning, and good evening, my beautiful community. I got a banger of a video today. Now, I've put 400 hours at least into this game, and that's before the DLC came out. With the DLC, I'm sitting at about another 50 hours on top of that. So, with all that, I've come up with 10 tips and tricks that I think you guys all need to know. Starting off, tip number one. There is now a total roster of 28 playable characters. Of those 28, 6 of them are new, with having just been added into the DLC. Of those 28, focus on 1 to 4 characters to build. That is one of the biggest tips that I can give you because this game is so resource heavy. Do not try to focus on building everyone at the same time. Find out who you like and how their playstyle is and build into those 1 to 4 characters, because that is how you can actually progress your game versus just getting stalled out waiting for all your characters to progress at the same time. For me, I chose my Frau, my Fediel, my Eustace, and my Magliel because I went into this DLC already having some characters at their max of base game. I knew I could start here and focus on these new 4, building them up fairly quickly. Tip number 2. Gear has completely changed. The biggest change being in damage cap. In the base game, you needed 4 damage caps at 5 plus that were all maxed out to be hitting that level 60 damage cap that you needed. But with this new difficulty being added, they've introduced a new sigil called Fatebreaker. Now, this is exclusive to the new difficulty quests that are out now. It is a damage cap that applies specifically in those quests. So it is an add-on now to those damage caps, which changes those builds. Additionally, you have your Celestial sigils now. For Celestial and Sendo, this is specifically raises the damage cap against foes in Overdrive. Now, in this new difficulty modes, the Chaos Plus, and the Chaos Plus Plus, I'm looking at a lot of bosses that either start in Overdrive, remain in Overdrive for a long period of time, or they get their Overdrive back quickly. So me, situationally, this is a better thing to have on because it does give that much needed damage for fighting these harder bosses. Tip number 3. There is now a new pity system for the Terminus weapons. You're going to want to heavily look into this because it used to be in the base game, the only Terminus weapons grind was in a mission called Bahamut's Rage in the Proud difficulty. But with the Fatebreaker now being out, there is now another mission, Roar from the Heavens. And that is where you have your new Terminus grind. If you want to still be doing the Tale of Bahamut's Rage back in Proud, by all means, you still can. The pity still applies there. But for the new difficulty, here's where you can do it. And what I mean by pity is that there is now a new item called the Ultimate Memory. By getting 10 of these, you can now go to the blacksmith and craft whichever Terminus you need. It used to be that because Terminus was such a low drop rate, people were grinding out the mission for hours and hours just to get one, for it to might not even be for the character you wanted to play. But now you have the ability to get it from the blacksmith after that pity drop. Tip number 4. There are now more weapon levels to do. With the base game, you had your basics of the Defender, the Executioner, the Stinger, and the Stunner, all being the base weapons that you get with every character. And then you progress into your Ascension weapon, as well as your Terminus weapon. For some of those early DLC characters, they did not have their Terminus weapon, so it stopped at Ascension. But with the DLC now being released, not only do they have their Terminus weapons, but all 6 characters that just have been released now also have these progressions of the base weapons, the Ascension, and the Terminus. Additionally, as you progress in this DLC, you'll see that there's now these bars here in the blue and the brown of ascending and transcending these weapons. It is now another grind that you can start accomplishing, where in terms of raw power and raw HP, a lot of these give those stats that you need not only in the mastery trees, but in the weapons themselves as you level them up beyond just their level at the blacksmith, but also in this awakening and transcending system. Tip number 5: weapon choice matters in this game. You're looking over here at my Frau, who has been my main for this DLC. Now, she only has 4 weapons, being the Defender, the Stinger, the Ascension, and the Terminus. As you can see, I didn't fully build out the Defender, because I was not focused on that HP level that I needed. So, as I completed it, it was more just for the mastery talents that I got. But I focused on the Stinger, because if you see that 19,400, that's just raw attack power, not even going into the slotted sigils that are on it. Now, once I progressed far enough, I was able to get her Ascension, which you can see is that climb in both HP and attack power, and more better sigils that are slotted into it. As for the Terminus weapon, this is the hardest grind that you will have to do, because it is not only, again, that boost in attack power, even though you sacrifice your HP, but you cannot fully transcend it until you have beaten the DLC, because of the specific drop you need to fully get it to that max level. But that is where choosing your weapon is going to help you progress. So my recommendation, you focus that Stinger, then the Ascension, and then the Terminus. Tip number 6: mats, or materials. As you can see here, my Rackham is not complete yet, just because it is so resource and material heavy to be leveling up all these guns. As you can see, they're at varying points of progression within their Transcendence and Awakening. So all of these materials I end up needing. Now, while I have them to do, aside from a few of them, it's a lot of resource tracking and grinding. And that is where the new system of the conflicts comes into play, which you'll find located with this blue castle here next to the quest counter in each city. Now, this is a new mode brought in with the DLC. It's a roguelite mode where you go in and it's 5 different cycles that you can run through, with each cycle 1 to 5 getting progressively harder. But within each cycle, you're fighting waves of enemies, mini bosses, story bosses, and you are just progressing to get to the end of that run where you can claim loot at the end of it. Now, if I look into the rewards for Cycle 4 here, there's multiple different rewards that I can choose from, and on the right, I can see where it would be applied to. Now, like I said, focus on Stinger. A lot of these characters, you can see their weapons are highlighted where they are, because with Stinger Transcendence, I would need for those people's weapons. Now, if I click on the actual obtainable for the category of Stinger, this would be all given to me upon completing one run of the Cycle 4 Conflux. This would get me at least one level of progression within the Ascendance and Transcendence of the weapon in the Stinger category. Now, you might be thinking that this is a lot. How do I keep track of it all? Well, that's where you see the little magnifying glass that is right next to the weapons on some of these. The Silverwolf Trefoil, the Blue Sky Spirit, the Ragnite Stinger. That's the wishlist system, where it was in the base game and it carries through into the DLC, helping with the conflicts. I know that I specifically need these things. I have them saved, so I know, oh hey, I can run this, I specifically get these within those missions. And this carries not just in the conflicts, but also in the quest counter. You undertake that quest, you click search by treasure, and I can see here Oh, look at that. I have 0 of the primeval landslide nodes. I can click on it, I find the specific quest that drops it, and I can now click to run that quest. Tip number 7. In terms of farm locations, you are now looking at a whole new category for these quests. Because the base game carries over into the actual DLC, you can now see that there is the entire category of Fatebreaker. Now, a lot of these quests drop the new materials you need, but they also drop the base materials as well. So I can click into some of these quests, like the id fight, and I can see down here, not only does it drop me the previous needed Destrudo drops, but it also drops the new one, the Mortito. And those both are needed for uh, transcending and ascending some of the weapons. So I can go in and I can run these quests, and I can actually get just the materials that I need before either switching quests or continuing again. Now, you might be thinking, I'm lacking some gold or I'm lacking some mastery points. And that's where a lot of these can come in terms of different quests you can run. You can see here, this is one of those wave missions where you're constantly just fighting the same type of enemy and you're surviving as long as possible doing it. So within this one, you can see right below where it says the rewards, you're given 310,000 XP, you're given 110,000 gold, and 1,200 mastery points. Now, that's just for completing the quest. You get those by stacking up as much of the kills that you can within the quest itself. Now, there's multiple quests that you can do this on. This is just one of them. Another one, like what we saw in the base game, is Revenge of the Ooze, which is essentially Slimepeed, but now much stronger. And this is a lot of where your farming is going to go into, especially if you're lacking that gold and mastery points. But all these quests are applicable within the Fatebreaker category of getting the farming materials that you need. Tip number 8. With all the farming that you have to do, you might be thinking, do I run this as my solo with my AI team, or do I try to do co-op online? And that is where you can do both. It just depends on your play style and how you want to move about. So, in terms of taking in your solo AI team, as you can see in the bottom right here, the backup character, I can choose to recruit someone just by random suggestion, or I can be it on the people that I'm following that I've constantly played with, or I can go into the actual friends that I have through Steam, and I can borrow one of their players that they have put up to take with me. Now, this Fedial here, from player Evil, granted I don't know them, it's a random suggestion, but their power is in the 63,000 category. Now, I've chosen to take them because my power on my Fedial is around 56,000. So this is obviously an improvement on the team that I can take. But if I wanted to choose to do online, the biggest change is now regional versus global. In the base game, there was only regional. But now that we've progressed into the DLC with a massive update, they've added global matchmaking into the game itself. So now instead of sitting in a queue hoping someone is doing the same quest as me or opening a lobby and hoping that someone joins, I am now much more likely to find someone to do those quests with. And that is where global matchmaking is a huge bonus. It is a tip that I definitely suggest that you look into just to progress as far as you can while you're still building up your AI team. Tip number 9. The gameplay has now added a new option of full assist mode. So you find this in the settings of your game, you go into game options, gameplay, and while the full assist mode used to be constricted to only the lower difficulty quests, not getting into your Maniac and Proud, you can now full assist mode all the way through any difficulty of the game into these Fatebreaker ones. Granted, there are some restrictions. You cannot use it within the uh, different areas that are after the DLC, such as the Infinity mode. But you can be using it within your Chaos modes, in your Proud modes, whatever you need it to do. And this is where you get into that AFK farming. You can toss on a ranged character as your primary, and it will do it all for you, just as if your AI team was controlling everything. Now, this is huge help for people that like to AFK farm. If you can't always spend all the time doing this, you can easily just set it to the full assist mode and you go and take care of other business or other things and you just let your AI run a mission or two, or you full AFK farm. Say you have to go cook dinner. This is one of the biggest advantages of the game. You can still grind without the actual grinding that you need to do. And finally, tip number 10. So, as you can see over here, this is my player list of people that I'm following, which is essentially your friends system within the game. I can tab over and go into my actual Steam friends, but staying within this category are all the people that I follow because I consistently play with them within the game. And a lot of that is finding people on the community Discord, which I will link in the description below this video. But if you ever need anything in terms of this game, whether it's base or DLC, you can go into this Discord to find out. Whether that be different Endless Ragnarok DLC stuff that you need to know, such as missions to farm, characters to play, different character guides on how you want to build your character, whether you want that to be DPS heavy, a tank, a support, and you can also tag different people if you need help. Such as if you're trying to do your rank up quests, if you're trying to just farm for specific materials, you can ping these quests, these boss fights, these difficulties, and you will get a wide range of players that respond to those pings and offer to help you out. If anything, I'm in this Discord. Ping me in this Discord at a tipsy tomato, and as long as I'm around, I will happily help you out. I'm loving this game. I want you guys to love this game. So by all means, ping me if you need me. And with that, that's been the 10 tips and tricks that I wanted you all to know. Now, for those of you that stayed to the end of this video, not only do I thank you, but I got a special treat for you as well. Say hi, Abby. She says, like, follow, and subscribe for more. Bye!